Welcome to my YouTube channel. Victoria here from Kampala, Uganda. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how I made this lovely colorful poncho that has been requested for by most of you or some of you. Yes, and I made it for this lady. She enjoyed the colors, she loved them, so let's get into the tutorial. I had already made one part of the poncho, the back part or the front part, whichever you choose to put it. With the necking and the shaping, I had a ribbing of 15 by 15. So I'm going to show you how I made the other part. So you need to make two parts, the front and the back, and then you join them. I pulled out 85 to 86 needles. I started by pulling out one by one to make the rib. I do my ponchos with the ribbing, so to make them a bit different, I don't like the ones which are let loose with the tassels, so that's why I do the ribbing at the start. So pulling out needles one by one at a measurement of 86 needles. This is for a medium size. If it is a large size, you can pull out 95 to 96, or you take up all the needles on the needle bed, 100 to 100. For a child, you can do 55, 56. It depends on the size. So I did that for this particular size, and then casting on using the Iraq method. And then I went on ahead and I did the rib. I'm working in tension 6 for the rib. You have to remember to put your row counter to 0 when you're starting. So I worked in a tension of 6 to make the rib, and I knitted 15 rows first. Then after I did the joining, the hemming row of 10, tension 10, and then 15. Then after join the hem to make that rib, as you can see there. So after doing all that, we knit one row. I think by now, if you've been following my tutorials, you know how I've done the ribbing. So there, after that, I knitted one row and then changed color. Since it's a colorful poncho, you can choose any other colors that you want. In case you're using a plain color, nothing to change, you just maintain that same color all through. But since I'm using different colors, so I have to keep changing. I have maroon, white, army green, and yellow. So, and I'm using our robin. Robin is a thread that I use in my tutorials here. Many of you asking me which type of thread I use. It's robin. I buy it from it's imported from Kenya. It's what I use for most of my tutorials, for especially this small machine, the KH811. So I went on ahead and I started knitting. Each color had 50 by 50 rows. So I did 50 rows of maroon, 50 rows of white, 50 rows of green, 50 rows of yellow, up to row count at 200. That is where yellow stopped. So I went on and knitted up to when I made 200, so as to shape the neck. So you can go on ahead and knit. If you're using a plain color, you can knit straight through up to 200. If it's for a larger person, it's for a large size, you can do more than 200. You can go to 300, and then you cast off. When at the time of casting off, I'll be telling you how many needles I cast off. But you can do plain colors. If you're using a plain color, you can go all through without changing the colors. Here, since I was using many colors, I had to keep on changing from maroon to white, green, and then yellow. So go on ahead and knit up to 200, row counter reading 200 rows. I'm doing a voiceover because the time when I was working there was noise in the background, so I couldn't record with my voice. It would interfere with the tutorial. That's why I went on ahead, and that's why I'm doing a voiceover recording. So after reaching 200 rows, I'm using the latch hook. I went on and cast off 22 rows. Just picked up 22 rows and I cast them off using the latch hook. This we are doing so that we shape the neck. Now if you notice the earlier piece, I shaped it from the left side. So this one you shape the neck from the right side, so that when you're joining them, one is the back and one is the front. So that's what I did, casting off 22 needles all at once. Now, after casting off and putting them back in the resting position, you can see it is at the same point when I did this one. I was on the left side. That's why I'm casting off from the right side, like I told you earlier, so that when I join them, one is at the front and one is at the back. So now I'm going to work on the remaining part. If you're using a plain color, like I was saying, you can go on ahead. Now what you are going to do is we are going to knit 2 rows and then cast off. Okay, transfer a stitch to the next using the transfer tool. You knit 2 rows and then you pick up that stitch and you transfer it to the next needle. Now we are going to do that up to the 40th needle. What you will need to do is to count 1 up to the 40th needle on your machine. So I went on ahead and marked out the 40th needle on the machine. Of course, you will need to get a marker or a pen and you mark where that 40th needle is. So as you're transferring needles after the 2 rows, you don't pass it or you don't leave it behind. So you might need to mark where that 40th needle is. So that's what I did, and I went on ahead to do the transfers. After 2 rows, you transfer to the next until that 40th needle. If it is a large size, you're going to do up to the 50th needle. If it is a smaller size, like a child, you can do up to the 30th needle. Yes, so that's what I'm going to basically do here, but being mindful that my color changes after 50 rows. So go on ahead and do that. After 2 rows, you transfer. After 2 rows, you transfer. And at this point, if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't liked this video, please like it. Leave for me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about my tutorials. When I can, I always upload the tutorials that you always request for. But subscribe, share with your friends. Thank you for the 1,000 subscribers. I'm grateful. Thank you so much. So now I'm going to do the transfers up to 300. I did the transfers up to the 40th needle. Thereafter, when you reach the 40th needle, you don't do any more. You just knit straight up to 300. So that's what I did. I knitted straight up to 300 and then cast off. So for a larger person, you can do, when you reach your 50th needle, you're going to knit straight up to 320 rows. For a child, you can do up to 250, being mindful that that you cast off, you shaped the neck at 150 or 180. So the longest you can go is 200 or 250, depending on the size of a child. So after doing that, after knitting straight up to 300, I had to cast off, like the usual casting off with a latch hook. You just pick up stitches and you cast off. Whichever way you do your casting off, that's what I did. And then after that we shall be joining the two parts, and our poncho would be good to be ready. So go on ahead and cast off if you're at this point, and then we shall be joining the two parts together. You can follow me on Instagram at Abokinits. I'm on Facebook, Abokinits. Actually, on Instagram, I have a link tree that I'll share the link in the description. So if you want to chat me up on WhatsApp, there is my number that you can chat me up for any questions. Yes. So you can follow me on Instagram. Don't forget to do that. And when you do this poncho, you can tag me. I'll be happy to see your tags. Now here I have the two parts ready, the front and the back. So what I'm going to basically do after this is to join one part of the shoulder, which has the white part. So I just put back all the two parts on the needle. If you're joining with a sewing machine, you can join with a sewing machine, the two ends for the shoulder. But I usually do my joining on the machine, on the same knitting machine. So you can go on ahead and join this just by picking up the stitches and putting them back on the needle bed on the machine, and then you knit one row and then you cast off. As simple as that. Or maybe if you're doing on the sewing machine, I don't know how it works out for you, but it's better you lock it up so that it doesn't come out. That is using an overlock if you can get one. Or you can hand sew it if you don't like that joining on the machines and whichever way you do your joining. So here I just put back all in the machine and knitted one row, then cast it off. And then I did also on the other end of the shoulder, put them back on the machines. Actually, before doing that, we have to first work on the neck. So that is the following part. I have more upcoming tutorials. One I'm thinking of doing about an adult turtleneck sweater. It has come in through some comments, so I'm planning on doing that. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out the tutorials which will be coming up. Yes, thank you for each one of you that is subscribing. Invite your friends who are knitters, share the links in their groups, and let them also subscribe. I'm really so grateful. So after working on one shoulder, I'm going to be working on the neck. This is in a similar way that I did the turtleneck. You put back on the machine, you knit one row, and then you transfer to make a rib of 1 by 1. Now if you want, you can do half of the neck, or you can put all the work for the neck on the machine. I'm not wasting any time, so what I did is I put all the work for the neck shaping on the machine so as to do it all at once. If you don't like having all the work all at once, you can do first the front part and then the back part. Then you can join both parts of the neck using the blind stitch method. Or if you don't want to do things separately, you can just consider doing it all at once, like how I did mine. So go on ahead and put back all the work onto the machine, and then you shall be picking up stitches. After you knit one row, I used one of the other colors, which was green, the one I used for the ribbing. You pick up all the stitches, put them back on the machine, you knit one row, and then after you transfer one to the next to create the 1 by 1 ribbing. But this time we are doing the neckband of 1 by 1 like I did with the turtleneck dresses. So it's basically what I'm doing. Now you can go on ahead, transfer the stitches one to the next, have a 1 by 1, and then you shall do the neck. You knit the neck. One thing I realized is I forgot to pull all the needles that I had transferred, these ones which are the front, so it made my machine a bit stuck. So now what you can do after transferring the needles, pull these needles that have the work on to the front, so that when you're moving your carriage it doesn't get stuck like mine did. So I'm going to I knitted 100 rows. See where it got stuck? So don't let this happen to you like it did to me. What you can do is pull all your needles to the front, and it would be easy for your carriage to move over. Now I knitted 100 rows in tension 8 because she wanted something really thick for the neck, something that is going to keep her warm. So I had to make a longer turtleneck. So I knitted 100 rows in tension 8, then after did one in tension 10, and then I repeated the other 100 in tension 8. So go on, and it depends on how thick you want. If you want it to be smaller, you can do maybe 80 rows or 50 rows, and then the other 50 rows making a total of 100, or you can do 70. It depends on how long you want or how thick you want the neck to be. So that's what I did. I did a total of 200 rows for the neck. After that, I joined, pick up stitches that were not that had created the 1 by 1, and I put them in the ones which were not working. It's what I'm doing. So after that, you knit one row and you cast off. As simple as that. So go on ahead and do that. You'll be able to create your neck well. Well, some people, after shaping the neck, on joining, if you want to have an open turtleneck, you may just have to join to do the blind stitch on either side so that it is open, like it's not a closed turtleneck, it is an open though turtleneck. I have a poncho I made for a child. You can see it on Instagram, where it's like a flipping neck. I don't know whether that's the right word. It's a flipping turtleneck. Yes. So you can either do that or you can close it up for the full neck to be covered. It depends on how you are designing your poncho. Well, this is what I did. I cast off for the turtleneck. And then after doing this, I left a long thread that I would be using to join the turtleneck together instead of now cutting another one and joining. So I left it there so that it would be easier for me to pick up and join with a machine, with a blind stitch using the yarn needle. See, if you want, like on the neck, if you can see that, you can join just on the side so that you leave it just open, or you can close it up. Now what I did next was to join this part, the other part of the shoulder, back onto I put the stitches back onto the machine and then joined like I did with the other part which had white. So you pick up stitches, put back on the machine, knit one row, and then cast off. As simple as that. So go on ahead. If you're joining on the machine, if you're not, You can, if you're using your sewing machine, you can join that part with your sewing machine. And then we have the other edges to do the ribbing. So after doing this part, I just went on ahead and worked on the ribbing, like I did the ribbing for the, when I was beginning the work. That ribbing that I did it on the other edges so as not to leave it open. Some can leave it open for adding tassels. Well, mine, I just do ribbing like I showed you in the beginning. So just join your ends, the two ends of the shoulder, and then after, if you want to leave it like that with tassels, that is okay. If you want to make it fine like this, you can just do the ribbing edging. Do that all across, and then we shall meet when you're done. So far the poncho is almost ready, and now what next is I'm going to do the ribbing, like I was saying, for this other part which has no ribbing edge. These two ends, one is the front, and then the other part is at the back. So the same way I did the put back on the same way you put back on the machine, you do the transfers to create a 1 by 1 rib, and then after you knit 15 rows. First you intention 6 like we did with the first one, so be sure to keep the very tensions that you use. So I did that. I put back the work on the machine, did the transfers of 1 by 1, knitted 15 rows, then after intention 6, then 1 intention 10, put back intention 6, and then knitted 15 rows, making a total of 30, and then there I cast off, joining the hem, and then you knit 1 row and you cast off. So that's what I'm going to basically do for this front part, and then also for the back part. So go on ahead and finish that, and then you can join the edges with you can join the other parts with the loose ends with a blind stitch, and your poncho will be ready, because that's basically what is remaining. After doing for this part, you do the next part. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Leave for me a comment in the comment section below. I'll be glad to read, and if I can, I'll respond to all the comments. And now this is how our poncho has turned out to be. This is how the ribbing is when you join the edges properly, and see how beautiful it looks and neat. The neck, that's how thick it is because of the many rows that we needed. So let me know what you think about this tutorial. Leave for me a comment. Please like the video, share it, and subscribe. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Bye bye.